Let's introduce you now once again to my guest joining me all today. He is, of course, Sam Armstrong, joins us always on a Monday morning. Morning once again to you.
Good morning.
I want to touch on the 7/7 anniversary before we go further forward. 20th anniversary today, big service taking place in London. We've got lots of important figures taking, the Prime Minister, London Mayor, I think the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh attending on behalf of the King, a statement from the King. It's the worst ever terror attack on UK soil, 52 dead, more than 800 injured, many of those very severely injured, losing limbs and having life-changing injuries. We were discussing earlier, and let's keep this brief because there's so much else we want to get to, that actually, as awful as this is, and it's important to remember this attack, there's 3 bombs on 3 tube chains, bomb on a double-decker bus, devastating. I mean, people in London, I think it took us a long time, people who weren't involved at all, a long time to sort of feel safe on public transport again. We had another foiled attack only 2 weeks later. We have tens of thousands of people on the terror watch list still. Massively ballooning since that attack, or wake-up call. We are still facing a huge threat from Islamic jihadism, a growing threat, some would say. Do we need to have a little less remembering and lighting of candles and vigils and remembrance services, and a little more taking proper practical action to stop these people from doing this ever again?
Julia, to be honest with you, having watched, there's 2 documentaries, one on Netflix, one on the BBC, about this attack, I would accept remembering the victims, because having watched those documentaries, the biggest problem in them was not the fact that 50+ people were killed, not the fact that 800 people were murdered. The vast chunk of both of those documentaries pointed that the biggest problem, the worst effect of this tragedy, was that it led to a perceived blowback by the Muslim community in this country. Time and time again, we were said the problem with this attack was that it led to racism. Now, of course, every bit of racism is awful, but actually, we need to remember that 50 people were killed, and tens of people in series of incidents again and again and again since have been killed by Islamic terrorists in this country. It is a serious problem. It is the single biggest threat to our country. It has not got better. In fact, it's got worse. And the authorities, the media, far too many people outside of this channel are determined to shut down any conversation of it. And it's an outrage to those 50 people who we remember were brutally murdered 20 years ago. Absolutely, absolutely. Your thoughts on that very welcome. 0344 499 1000. We like to say it as it is, not for the sake of it, because I'm paying tribute to the people who lost their lives, the incredible heroism on the day, the unity, all of that. But lighting candles will not keep the next person alive if they are under threat. We should be, the number one issue should be preventing the next attack. And the reality is we have tens of thousands of people walking amongst us, living amongst us, many born in this country, who hold views which are a danger to us. They genuinely believe that this country is a terrible place and that they would be willing to die for their extremist religious views. And we've imported either their parents or them to this country. We have hate preachers in mosques and Islamic centres day after day. We have organisations. We've got the issue with Palestine Action, people claiming they're supporting Gaza. 29 arrests at the weekend, which I thought was a very, very good thing. Police actually doing their job. Shocker for a prescribed organisation, just a day after it was banned by the authorities after a vote in Parliament. People say, oh no, we oppose genocide in Gaza. A, there isn't genocide in Gaza, and B, you can be worried about the people who are dying, who are innocent people in Gaza, without supporting a prescribed terrorist group. These things are not the same. If you were an organisation that launches attack on British Air Force assets, you are terrorist. In fact, prescription, your group being banned, and frankly none of you getting rounded up and jailed is in my view, frankly, too lenient approach to an organisation as insidious as that. And they apparently, we'll talk about it a little bit later, they've apparently set up a secret website for people to get in touch. I mean, again, sorry, you've got no business doing any of this. Let's talk about where we are in terms of wealth tax. Lord Kinnock on telly yesterday, the man who brought Labour to a level of sanity where they got elected under Tony Blair in the first place, but didn't get elected himself as Prime Minister.
despite 2 attempts. He said that Labour is willing to explore a wealth tax. Now, it's kind of been quietly poo-pooed a little bit by the number 10 Downing Street staff, but the reality is there is a huge amount of money that is going out of government coffers, our taxpayers' money, onto an awful lot of things like benefits of various different kinds, and there simply isn't money to pay for it. No one at all in this country who is sane thinks that taxes aren't going to go up in the autumn. Rachel Reeves says she cries through her next budget. £20 billion black hole, 22 billion was it? It's now become basically a £40 billion black hole. Well done, despite those tax rises last autumn. We're going to be seeing more this year, and we know we've got the likes of Labour backbenchers, we've got all the trade unions, all the Labour Party, funders. They are desperately keen for a tax on what they call wealth. Suggestion from Neil Kinnock, 2% tax on people with £10 million or more in assets. That would be 200k a year on your assets. Well, again, 5 years, a million of that's gone. But the reality is, long before that millionaire will be gone.
Yeah, I wish it would work. I wish the idea would work. If it was that simple that you could raise money by putting on this tax, I would be all for it. The reality is, each and every time around the world it has been tried, what has it done? It has raised almost no money, and it has destroyed the economy of the country that has attempted it. We know that that's happened. Now, you can't teach these people. They're that ideological, they're that crazed. You can't teach them it.
It's like the idea that if you close down a load of private schools with VAT increases, suddenly all the kids at state schools will just start doing really well. They genuinely believe that.
But look, we have lost 16,500 millionaires in the last year from this country. Each one of them was paying thousands upon thousands of pounds in taxes. They were taking out far less than they were putting in. We have replaced them with people that are taking out far more than they're putting in. But this change will destroy our economy. When Neil Kinnock stood in 1992, it was said that, will the last person in Britain please turn the lights out? It really will be if he gets his way. Will the last millionaire in Britain please pay the electricity meter?
But it's the idea that these people are not already paying tax. We know the top 1% in this country, you don't have to be earning that much. Top 1% have net worth just over 3 million quid. So a lot of people in London and the South East who've made
bought a house, got a pension,
bought a house and a pension may well have those sort of assets. But the top 1%, and again, it's way more than most people. I get that, but the top 1%, they're already paying 30% of all income tax in this country. I think they're paying their way. Taxes for the wealthy have gone up, and 45p in the pound rate. It seems to me there's sort of this idea, they're not paying a load of tax. No, they are. I remember Alan Sugar once actually showing, this is the cheque that I wrote. No, okay, some of them don't do that. They've got assets abroad, it's all in trusts or whatever. This is the cheque I wrote. You're telling me I earn tens of millions of pounds. This is the cheque I wrote to the Exchequer last year. All credit to him.
But Julia, the ways of life, there are realities of life, and one of the realities of life is it's not that unpleasant if you're a millionaire, if you've got 15 million in the bank, if you're doing this and that, to move yourself to Malta or to Portugal or to Italy or to Bermuda, anywhere around the world.
Just some holiday destination suggestions for Judith Chalmers.
Each one of these holiday destinations is setting up their own tax system, though, where they are eagerly trying to attract them, to bring them in. And you have to be so naive to think this will work.
But that's it. It's the politics of sort of envy, isn't it? Rather than, my thing is why don't we try and encourage more people to be able to set up businesses and do well? The reality is, people who've got assets like that, they work really hard. I know some people who are very, very wealthy, and virtually all of them came from absolutely nothing. Absolutely, lived in an absolutely ordinary, normal home, or actually started out with even less than that, and they've worked their cojones off, and they've done really well. I just simply don't, and they pay a hell of a lot of tax. I just don't resent these people at all. I just say, could I come on your yacht, please?
Yeah,
but I don't know why people resent those people, because yes, there are some people who, but the weird thing is, no one seems to resent footballers or pop stars or actors earning silly amounts of money. Silly amounts of money. but you're kicking a ball around. But if you're the best at doing it and people want to watch you doing it, then you are worth that amount of money. I don't know why people are so resentful of it.
Well, and remember with wealth taxes, they have already paid income tax on it. So this is taking a second bite out of the cherry.
And here's the thing.
And I don't blame these people
here's the
for
thing.
running
Most
away
people,
from it.
I hear this all the time from people, and I'll tell people off an audience about the time. People go, I've paid in all my life. No. The vast majority of people in this country will, and we've talked about immigrants being net, not being net contributors, because the latest stats, the vast majority of people in this country will never pay enough tax to cover their pension, let alone the extra help they get from public services and things in this country. The vast majority of us don't earn enough money to do that, and that's a reality check. So when you get to these benefits, so we've got Labour backbenchers, they smelt blood. They now know we can get this number 10 Downing Street to basically cave on anything. They're going to be trying to forcing votes. They want to have the 2-child benefit cap got rid of. So let's really encourage people who don't work, or only one of them. We say some of these people are working. Yeah, Dad's working 2 days a week. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that. You've got 5 kids. You probably both need to be doing a 5-day week to pay your costs. I certainly don't see why I should be going to work to pay for your kids. But we want to get rid of that, and we're also talking about the special educational needs, and we get lots of calls coming in on that. And Keir Starmer faces a Labour revolt over this. Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, said on Sunday the government was committed to reforming help for children with learning difficulties and disabilities. £12 billion a year going on that. We've had a massive increase. I think it's a 16% increase in the last year in the number of children. Sorry, 11% increase in the previous year, of the equivalent of almost an entire school year cohort across the country who are now claiming this extra help. I simply don't believe that there are that many children who need that extra help. I think there are lots of children who need, as you were saying earlier, extra help from their parents to actually, if their parents did a bit of parenting, breakfast in the morning, healthy meals, loads of physical exercise. No, you don't have to join a gym. Take them to the sodding park. Let them run around. A healthy meal in the evening, bedtime, turn off all the gadgets. In fact, if your kid's at primary school, I don't know why your kid's got a gadget at all. I don't even know why they're watching TV until they're at least 4 years old, at the youngest. And you should be reading books to them and spending time with them. I'm sorry, I simply do not, no fizzy drinks, none of that. People started parenting properly, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. And we'd be able to help the kids who genuinely do have autism, ADHD, other learning disabilities. We want to be able to give them all the help that they need, and we'd be able to afford to do so because we wouldn't be doing it for another million kids.
Speak to any teacher at any school in this country, they will tell you in each and every class, half a dozen or more now have ADHD diagnoses. We've got to the stage where we've got 700,000 people on these care plans where we're told that they need one-to-one support, that somebody needs to be taken out of the workforce to look after them full-time. Here's the thing. Every other parent who's got kids in a class, who's in the WhatsApp group, knows who those kids are that have got the ADHD diagnosis. They know what the parents are like. They see the snacks they're getting given after school. They see how much time they spend on their screens. They see the fact that it's frankly, the bunch of them, they're all feral. Yep. Look, there have been, for as long as there have been parents around, kids around, bad parents. And there have been kids that are frankly little oiks. People you wouldn't want anywhere near your house. They have now been given the situation, a system by which they can go along to a doctor, and if they don't like what the first doctor says, they can go along to a second one, in which they have a medical excuse for the fact that their children have not been brought up right, need some discipline, often need a strong father figure, and often need to be told, no, you will sit there until you have completed your work. You will eat everything on that plate before you get down. We know that kind of parenting has always worked, has always given us nice children. We know what side has not worked very well. And how have we got ourselves into a situation in which not only are we medicalising kids that there is absolutely nothing wrong with, putting them
which is a tragedy. It's child abuse.
Dangerous drugs that have profound consequences for them for the rest of their life, but have now got to a situation in which the taxpayer is being expected not only to sign off on this stupid, needless certificate, but to pay for worthless support, and in fact, in my view, much of it is worthless for kids for years.
Well, there's lots of evidence actually for a lot of these children, because they don't genuinely have those needs, that actually it's not actually helping those children. You're not seeing those children benefit from it at all. There's so much more I want to talk about. I do want to hear from you. 0344 499 1000 on that. Just briefly, and it sounds trite to this, just briefly, let's talk about what's been going on in Texas with those floods. We know that, you know, half a dozen, well, a dozen or more children are known to be missing and are believed to have died from these summer camps. I lived in America as a kid, not in Texas, but, you know, if everyone, you run off to summer camp, that's what everyone did. And these children at a girls' Christian summer camp on this plain, but it is a floodplain. By this river burst its banks. If you've not seen any of the footage of it, it's just extraordinary. In the space of 45 minutes, this river it just rose the most extraordinary. I mean, tens and tens and tens of feet. There were warnings. Not enough. There's talk actually there simply wasn't enough warning given, and that people didn't really understand the warnings. These floods have happened before. People have died before, but we've got, you know, camps on the side of a river which is known to have flash floods because of basically there's nowhere for the water to go other than to flood. But immediately, as soon as we had reports, again straight away, climate change. These floods have been happening for centuries. People are dying because people are that close to the river. But again, it's an abject failure of flood warning and the authorities preparing people and giving adequate warning. And this is what we've seen with fires, where we've seen flooding in Germany, with fires in California or in Australia. This always ends up being, there have been cuts in the spending on the appropriate way of preventing death from natural disaster. And whenever that happens, the first thing anyone says is, climate change. And it's a lie.
Listen, if you wake up to news about a series of dead 7 to 9-year-old girls and you see it as a chance to advance your own political agenda, your own theories on what is going on, and frankly, in many cases, your own personal business interests, because let's be clear, people in the eco movement have done very, very well out of going on about how great doom is impending. If you see dead girls and you think this is a chance to make a political point, you are sick. You are sick. That is an appalling tragedy. Parents are going to wake up knowing that their daughter that they sent off to have what should have been one of the best months of their lives is never coming back. I want to hear far, far less about anyone's political agenda, and I want to hear far more about just remembering a few girls that lost their lives in the most appalling circumstances.
But again, and we talked about the 7/7 anniversary, doing what is necessary to prevent it from happening again, which is proper flood warning and proper preparation and people understanding the risks attached. It breaks me. It breaks me that people do that. And I'm not making it. I'm saying people are claiming this, and there's been a massive big row going on in the States now between Democrats and Republicans over this, instead of focusing on how could we have saved those lives. They're still searching, for goodness sake, in the hope that there might be a child who we've seen a few people, you know, managing to hold on to trees and clinging to life, that they may be found. I mean, I just can't even imagine exactly what those parents are going through.